My taking stock guests this evening include the former Treasury official, Professor Keith Engel, business analyst Tebogo Lekhuleni, and from the Economist, Francois Stofberg from the Efficient Group. And finally, dare we predict what the future looks like? I mentioned just before we went into the break that Tebogo is making pro-private sector noises, which is not something that is going down well within the ANC benches of Parliament, and he may have a fight on his hands there. Also a fight with trade unions. Some have accused him of declaring war on them, and certainly the language was very strong. Maybe he's just trying to start a discussion. But is this the only way that we are really, truly going to turn away the ratings agencies and get them to reverse their decisions and see our rating improve, lower the cost of capital, and improve the state of the South African economy? Francois Stofberg, that seems to be the only logical way forward.
Definitely. And we agree. I agree with you. We agree with you. I think he's...
Who are we?
Myself and Dolly.
Right.
At Efficient Group. So we agree with you. I think he's walking a political tightrope. A lot of the noises that he's making is very new liberal, like we saw at the onset of the New Democracy, Trevor Noah doing all the right moves, bringing our debt down. I think he's making the same sort of noises. And the interesting thing is, I don't believe since the first sitting of a Senate, 300 BC, in Plato's time, has there ever been an instance where they said that we're not going to increase your wages. No. I don't think that's ever happened. So liberal noises, but I think it's good.
The guy you were talking about was Trevor Manuel, not Trevor Noah. Trevor Noah is very funny, but rubbish at running country budgets.
Of course,
we should give him a chance. Give him a turn as well. But do we dodge the downgrade? Keith Engel, you've had many years of experience of working on the inside of the beast. Is it possible to turn it around?
I think the moment they're going to get a reprieve until after the election. That's the bottom line of it. But now the question is what happens after the election.
And that all depends on the outcome of the election as to whether or not Cyril Ramaphosa gets a sufficient mandate to appoint the people he wants and needs to transform and reform the economy.
Well, one question I do have, let's say he gets the overwhelming mandate he wants. Does that mean he's got to deal, can he deal with the ANC itself, or is he going to have more people in the ANC that he doesn't agree with? So I'm not sure if the mandate's going to deliver what he wants, but let's assume that it all works. I think the real problem is, what did the minister say? He was quite bold, he was quite honest. What's your problem? SOEs. You've got to partially privatize, you've got to sell something. You simply can't manage it. You simply can't. The second problem is your public wage. Same problem in Kenya, same problem in Nigeria. The government is becoming too large. Are they going to... It doesn't mean you have to fire lots of people, but hiring freezes, slowing down the growth. If you can just get those manageable and then get a little bit of extra money for some capital expenditure.
If you look at the budget projections for the next 3 years, and all government departments are listed, the number of people employed, the average wages paid to each one of those employees, you suddenly take 3 or 4 of those government departments out that might not be necessary. You might consolidate the economic ministries, for example, into one, trade and industry, bring it into the Department of Finance, have a deputy rather than a full minister, less security, less big budgets on big fancy cars. All of them, over time, that saves billions of rand every year.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. And you don't have to we don't have to fire everybody. The point is, some serious commitment means maybe if you can trim the fat by 10% or 15%, that will get the numbers a lot better.
And that frees up capital. If money's not being stolen, Tebogo, if money's not being stolen on one hand, and less money is being spent on wasteful stuff, we can start doing things like building things.
Absolutely. Gradually, incrementally, we can start saving up and building up that amount to then do extra things. For me, I always say, you cannot implement something new if you have not addressed your current issues. There are current processes, systems, and all these things that exist that were built by people, smart people, people who put in a lot of research, a lot of energy, a lot of thought into these processes and systems that have then been created and researched and implemented. But at the end of the day, it comes to discipline in implementation and being held accountable. When there's a lot of corruption and there's a lot of ill discipline to execute these things, how then can we bring about new systems and new solutions if we cannot deal with the current situation and make work with what we have right now? And that is the big thing for me. We are trying to come up with all these new solutions and how we can improve and how we can do this. But why not go back to the fundamentals?
Do we need a downgrade? Do we need a downgrade to break the system so that we can build it from the ground up again?
No.
Nobody wants a downgrade.
Well, some people are hoping the IMF will step in. That they'll need the IMF, and the IMF will discipline us.
Oh, wow.
But that's the big supposed benefit.
But then you get into an Argentina-type situation where you don't need that either.
No, we don't.
Okay, 30 seconds each, because we need to wrap up. Give me a sense of optimism out of this budget. What can we take out of it that can give us a little spring in our step as we start our Friday mornings?
I think the underlying tone of this budget, once again, this very subtle message is once again a very smart strategic move from a core ideological group that seems to be, continues to be, changing their views towards a more neoliberalist type, trying to use
Can we just call it market friendly? Because neoliberal is such a dirty word. Market friendly.
Market friendly.
Tebogo, 30 seconds.
Look, I think they are making steps or taking steps in the right direction. There's still a lot of work to be done, to be honest. I think highlighting issues like education, putting that at the forefront, dealing with the SOEs and ensuring that, no, the government is not going to take on your debt, but we're going to make you accountable to ensure that you grow out of your issues and situations that you found yourself in and put yourself in an effective, efficient position. They've highlighted those things. They have increased sin tax. People are going to be complaining about that. That's
Suck it up.
Suck it up.
Suck it up.
It has to be done. But at the end of the day, the overall tone, it's quite a positive one, and I'm quite optimistic that we will be in a much better light years to come from this initial budget speech. So, glimmer of hope. I like it, but it's going to take a long time.
Of course, it's hard. It's going to be hard.
Going to take a long
Keith
time.
Engel, last word to you.
Yeah, well, I'm a tax guy, so I'll talk about tax. I think the hope is that we're not down a further tax road. I think we were on a tax and spend road. You can see now government, they're doing the absolute minimum, what they absolutely have to do. They don't want to raise rates anymore. They realize people have tapped out. They're trying to get the illegal portion of the economy, so hopefully they'll focus there and not on the legal. That's not going to be so easy. But at least they understand that the private sector is at its limits.
Yeah.
And they didn't seem to understand
And the
that
private
before.
sector can be your friend.
Yes.
Absolutely.
There we go.
Absolutely.
I think we'll leave it there. Gentlemen, thank you very much indeed. Thank you for coming through so late at night on the day after the budget. This is where we will wrap this budget edition of Taking Stock on ENCA. To Keith, Tebogo and to Francois, thank you very much for coming in and to talking to us this evening. And thank you very much for watching. It was a scary budget. There wasn't much good, but there was lots of bad and ugly. But maybe we need to get that out of the way so that we can focus on a post-election South Africa where we can have less graft, less theft, a bit more tax collection from the guys who are not paying their fair share, and get some investment going into the South African economy. Have a good evening. Good night. Thank you.